Not one, but two VIP guests, Penei, Sewell, Amon-Ra, St. Brown, are staying. What a Wednesday.
You are Locked On Lions, your daily Detroit Lions podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's happening, everybody? Matt Derry with you on a Wednesday edition of Locked On Lions right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Wednesday, April 24th into tomorrow, Thursday, April 25th, day one of the NFL Draft. And we've got a crazy show for you today. We got a VIP guest and a special guest at the end of the show. We've got Jim Nagy from the Reese's Senior Bowl. Draft expert, will be on NFL Network this weekend, coming back home to his home state of Michigan. Jim's going to join us momentarily. We got signings to talk about. A ton to talk about today on the day before edition of Locked On Lions. Thanks for making us your first listen, checking us out wherever you get your podcasts. Please subscribe and watch us for free on our Locked On Lions YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter at Derry Speaks, at Locked On Lions, Matt Derry Facebook fan page. Locked On Lions today brought to you by Monopoly Go. My wife would admit it. She's got a competitive side, and she's a huge fan of Monopoly Go. If you played it before, the mobile hit twist to classic Monopoly. Join your friends and download Monopoly Go now free on the App Store or Google Play. All right, so we recorded the VIP guest this morning. Jim Nagy's going to join us, and out of nowhere today, the Detroit Lions are making major news. First and foremost, the best news of the day. Amon-Ra St. Brown is staying on a brand spanking new 4-year, $120 million deal, $30 million per year, the highest paid wide receiver in the game, now resides in Detroit in Amon-Ra St. Brown. What a job by the front office. And we told you a couple weeks ago, when Devontae Smith signed with the Eagles, maybe it was last week, for 3 at 75, there was no way Amon-Ra was going to get anywhere near $25 million a year. It was going to be up. He's a superior player to Smith. Devontae's a good football player in Philly, but he's not even the number one receiver on that team. Amon-Ra St. Brown is the guy. And the Sun God, who was a 4th-round pick years ago and would have been a free agent after this year, gets locked up for a 4-year extension at $120 million, $30 million a year, making him the highest paid receiver in the league, bypassing the likes of Tyreek Hill and others. Just awesome. How can you not love this? It's sweet, but the Lions weren't done. The Lions lock up Penei Sewell at 4 years and $112 million at $28 million a year, making him the highest paid tackle and offensive lineman in the game. So on the same day, the Lions allocate $58 million for 2 players per season. Sewell, who's a beast and a god and one of the best right tackles, if not the best right tackle in the game, and St. Brown, who's as good a receiver as there's in the game. There's guys better than Amon-Ra St. Brown. Okay, you'd take Tyreek Hill. You'd take CD Lamb. There's Justin Jefferson. All right? But think about this. Amon-Ra and Sewell are here for the long term, both signing 4-year extensions. They're going to be here next year and beyond. All right? Again, front office getting the job done. It's a day to celebrate when you know 2 of your cornerstone players that are homegrown and that you drafted are going to be here and be here for a long time. And ownership is willing to put their money where their mouth is and make them the highest paid players in the game. Now, the big question remains, what about Jared Goff? Adam Schefter reporting today that the 2 sides have had talks, but there hasn't been much progress. We know this. Jared Goff probably wants $50 million a year and wants to get that 5-0 number just under the Jalen Hurts $51 million a year. Jared Goff took the Lions further than Jalen Hurts took the Eagles this year, right? The Lions know they've got Goff for what, 28 to 30 million this year. And if they franchise tag him next season, the year after next, that would be around 42.3 million, which for Goff would be probably low. Be less than what Kirk Cousins is making. So there's a game of chicken going on here and a little leverage game right now. The Lions know they can be patient, but they don't want to tick off their quarterback. They also want to take care of him. But his agent probably saying, we want that 5 in front of it. Maybe the Lions are thinking, maybe late 4s around Kyler Murray, Deshaun Watson money, as opposed to Jalen Hurts money or something of that ilk. That's a discussion. Josh Allen, that's a discussion. Right now, 2 of the 3 that we know you got to keep around here are at least locked in. We'll see where this goes with Jared Goff, but it is certainly interesting as we are the day on the eve of the draft, the day before the draft. Let's talk more draft. And we're going to do that with Jim Nagy, the executive director of the Reese's Senior Bowl. He's seen all these players. He's gone to workouts. He's gone to the combine. He's gone to the pro days. He's seen all of these players. It's a player that he likes that had some local ties to the Lions. We're going to get into that coming up next with Jim right here on Locked On Lions. But first, we're going to tell you about our friends at eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Enjoy your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit. Only available to U.S. customers.
Yeah.
All right, here he is, ladies and gentlemen. As promised, Jim Nagy, the best in the business when it comes to the draft, executive director of the Reese's Senior Bowl, is with us today, day before the draft. He'll be up here. James, great to see you, my friend.
Yeah, Matt. I'm excited. We're finally here, and I'm heading up to my home state for this thing, so I'm fired up.
Love this. Jim, take us through real fast how you think the top of the draft will go. Any surprises? What about Arizona, J.J. McCarthy? What are you seeing?
Yeah, I can't see Monty Ossenforth, the GM in Arizona, who I worked with for a long time in New England. I can't see Monty sitting tight and taking a player there. Even some of these receivers got to be pretty enticing to pair with Kyler Murray. But, you're just looking at Minnesota and what they have, 2 1s this year, a 1 next year, what it's going to take to get up there. I mean, gosh, if I'm Monty and I got my quarterback and I could add some ammunition by moving back, that's certainly what I do. And then at 5 with the Chargers, they could do the same thing. So there's probably more intrigue at the top of this draft. We don't know the order of the quarterbacks. We don't know who the Commanders are taking. We kind of know that we know the names. We don't know where they're going to land. So it should make for a really fun first part of Thursday night.
What about the Lions sitting at 29? Thoughts on what Brad Holmes should do and is thinking about as they're drafting later in the first round than they're used to doing?
Yeah, I think they're sitting in a good spot. They've got Jared Goff. They've got good wide receivers. They have tackles. So all those positions are going to have runs on them. We could have 6 quarterbacks. We could have, 7 or 8 tackles. We could have a slew of wide receivers. So it's going to push a good position player, even a good defensive player down to them. Again, my wish pick for them is Braden Fisk from Florida State, former Western Michigan Bronco, went down, blew it up this year for Florida State, had an unbelievable Senior Bowl week. He's crushed the draft process more than probably any player, from here going to the combine and running 4.75 and looking like a linebacker going through D-line drills. I mean, the guy's had a phenomenal couple months here. So just knowing how Braden plays and what Dan Campbell looks for in players, envisioning him on a line with Aiden Hutchinson is a lot of fun. I would love to see that happen.
So when you talk about Fisk, give me more on him just in terms of what you've seen. And is there a chance that they could trade back and then get him later in the second round?
There is a chance they could trade back. Again, it's my dream that they would take him in the first. I'd love to see this kid go in the first round. He's from Michigan City, Indiana, kind of blue collar guy. He really got miscast, Matt. He's this white defensive tackle. Probably a lot what happened to Aiden coming out. They thought he was just kind of a try hard, overachieving guy. and goes to the combine and does what he does. But when you put on the tape, the thing about him, he's probably got the best initial quickness in this class. He gets off the rock and blows stuff up, and then everyone else kind of cleans up after his mess. So he's really a fun player that way. He's got legitimate pass rush ability. He's an every down player. Like I said, he's incredibly athletic. So it would be fun. He's a Dan Campbell kind of guy. Could they trade back? Yes. If they don't go Fisk, let's keep it in the state. Let's keep Darius Robinson at home and add him to that Lions defensive line. Really versatile, different player, long arms, big, huge frame, huge human being, can get to the quarterback for multiple alignments. He would be another fun guy. Another guy that plays hard up there on that front with Aiden Hutchinson.
Jim Nagy, of course, with us, Reese's Senior Bowl. You're going to see him over the weekend on NFL Network as well, contributing to the draft. Cornerback is always a question mark, always a discussion with the Lions. Certainly there's some that have put Kool-Aid at 29 in mock drafts. How do you view the corners? And you think Brad would take a corner at 29?
He could, he should. I mean, you got to find guys that can cover, right? You got to tie up the pass rush with the coverage. And if they've got Aiden and some other guys getting after the QB, you got to have guys that can make plays in the secondary when the ball comes out quick. So I don't think Quinion Mitchell, that would have been a fun kind of, local pick too, getting the Toledo kid. He's going to be long gone. I think Terrion Arnold, Kool-Aid's teammate from Alabama, will be gone, but they might be staring at Kool-Aid. He's been a big deal in our state down here in Alabama for a long time. Great player, but also the name as well. So he's been a name that we've been following down here for a long, long time. Got a little overshadowed by Terrion this year. They're close in players, but the thing on Kool-Aid, I'll give him credit. A lot of scouts were questioning what he would run. And that was kind of the sell to Kool-Aid in his group to get him to the Senior Bowl. Is the guy's a good football player. Scouts don't think he's going to run fast. So send him to the Senior Bowl, let him do what he does well, and then figure out a way to dodge the combine or whatever. But, he had a foot injury, couldn't come here. Then he really got it diagnosed at the combine with a fifth metatarsal fracture. Give him a ton of credit. I went to a bunch of pro days this spring. The most impressive thing I saw at the pro days was Kool-Aid running a 40, doing the vertical jump, doing all that stuff with a broken foot. And he ran 4.47. Now, it was a big split. Like, I timed it. I was standing with all the scouts. I had 4.47 and 4.57. So that's a pretty big split. But he got in the 4.4s, which is faster than most teams thought. But a really athletic guy can return punts. That's going to be the wheelhouse for Kool-Aid. I think he's going to go somewhere in that late 20s to mid 30s range. So if they're looking at corner, that's probably a guy they're going to be staring at.
If they feel like maybe they need to draft the next tackle to go with Sewell because Taylor Decker's on the last year of his deal, who maybe drops to 29, could Graham Barton move to the outside? What do you see there?
Yeah, I think Graham's better suited inside. I think Graham's going to be a Pro Bowl center when it's all said and done. I think you brought the name up, so I might as well talk about him a little bit. I think there's only two players in this draft, in my opinion, two linemen that can play all five spots. Graham Barton being one, Dom Pooney from Kansas being the other guy. Dom's probably going to go in the third round. But so I think Barton, if you're taking him, I think he'll go to Pittsburgh or Miami, one of these places that really has a center need, maybe Dallas. But if you're looking tackle, there's going to be some good ones. Tyler Guyton, I think, is the highest ceiling tackle in this class. Now, yes, Joe Altus safer and Olu Fashanu is more NFL ready. But Tyler Guyton on tape does things athletically that none of those guys can do. I mean, this is a really high-end athlete. He kind of floats on tape. He looks different. He might be there late in the 20s. A guy that's been rising up, and really since the Senior Bowl, is Roger Rosengarten from Washington. I thought, when the process started, late third round, had a great week down here. He played right tackle at Washington because, Troy Fatanu was on the left side. So a lot of times at the Senior Bowl, when we move them, we put them on the other side of the line. They look like fish out of water. Roger Rosengarten looked like a natural over there at left tackle. So now he's a guy that can legitimately play both sides. And, I thought it would maybe be a stretch for Roger to get into the first. And now I see Mel Kiper's mocking him there. So maybe Mel knows something. He's got some team intel that I don't have. But Roger Rosengarten is certainly one of my favorite guys in this draft when you're talking about pick 29 and where the Lions are going to be going.
Big news today. Amon-Ra St. Brown becomes the highest paid receiver in the game, gets $30 million a year. Penei Sewell becomes the highest paid tackle in the game, gets $28 million a year. Again, this is the Lions and Brad Holmes in their front office, the draft, and now keeping guys around. Thoughts on that? And certainly they want Jared Goff to be next, but he probably wants a 50. They probably maybe have him in the 40s in terms of million a year. And that's probably the holdup right now, don't you think?
Yeah. Kudos to the Lions. I mean, they're running their franchise the way they should run it. The Ford family's rewarding players that they draft. I mean, I'm sure that's what Brad Holmes envisions, what he wants to be. He wants to be a, draft and develop football team and then reward the guys that have been Lions. Let's keep them Lions. Let's keep them cornerstone players. And when you got guys like Sewell and Amon-Ra, it's a big day for the Detroit Lions. I know we got the draft coming up, but you can't have a much bigger day than that. Lock down 2 cornerstone players on second contracts.
Jim, love talking to you, my brother. We're going to be watching you this weekend, and good luck with all your travels. And hopefully I'll bump into you one of these days, maybe even this weekend. But thanks as always for coming on.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. Hopefully we do, man. I can't wait. I'm gonna drive up to TC and see my folks after the draft is over. So looking forward to getting back home.
There he is, folks. We love talking to our man, Jim Nagy from the Reese's Senior Bowl. Does a fantastic job. Coming up next, ladies and gentlemen, VIP guest, special guest, next here on Locked On Lions. But first, I was telling you earlier about our friends at Monopoly Go. Listen, my wife is sitting there right now. She's upstairs, and she's literally playing Monopoly Go on her phone. She absolutely loves it. All right. Need you to all listen up for this big announcement. I'm tracking the leaderboards, keep an eye on the scores, putting all my heart into it. I'm super pumped to announce that because my wife makes me play this, I'm finally on top. That's right. Obviously, I've been talking about the hit mobile game, Monopoly Go. You've probably heard of it. It's been downloaded over 150 million times. It's a great mobile twist on classic Monopoly. You can play anywhere, anytime. Explore hundreds of Monopoly boards from Vegas to Camelot to the moon, all while raking in a huge fortune. Charge rent on iconic properties, just like classic Monopoly. You can charge your friends rent on your iconic properties, or go after their Monopoly money by pulling bank heists and taking wrecking balls to their landmarks. It's fun. My favorite part is the leaderboards, where you can see who's a Monopoly tycoon and who's just gone bankrupt. Get yourself on the charts. Download Monopoly Go now, free on the App Store and Google Play. All right, folks, we promised you a VIP guest, and here she is, ladies and gentlemen. They reached out. They wanted to be on Locked On Lions. It is the governor of the great state of Michigan, Gretchen Whitmer. How are you?
I'm great, Matt. This is going to be a really fun week to showcase what's going on in Detroit, showcase the Lions and the state of Michigan. So this is a long time in coming, but it's going to be a lot of fun. Hopefully a lot of Michiganders can get down there and enjoy all the festivities.
Do you have like inside info on like how the draft came to Detroit? Because everybody would say, oh, we're never going to get this thing. And obviously there was hard knocks and all this stuff, but like, do you get involved in things like that to try to help the Lions and the league come here?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. This was a joint effort. State of Michigan, city of Detroit, private sector, public sector, Visit Detroit, the MEDC. I mean, this is an all hands on deck thing because we all see that it's a real incredible opportunity to bring a lot of commerce into the city, to spotlight Detroit, Michigan on the national scene, to show people what's really happening here. I think, Detroit was a world-class city, got on hard times. We are back, baby. And every one of these opportunities is a chance for us to show what is available here, what the exciting things that are going on. So we were all a part of making this happen.
No, there's no question. This is going to be absolutely insane the next few days, and people are excited. So what are your plans? Like, how does it work for you? I mean, do you have to be down there Thursday, Friday, Saturday? Do you get a break? What's going on?
I'm going to get down there today and tomorrow. I'm, my schedule is always fluid. So I'm committed to today and tomorrow. I'm wearing my Honolulu blue and declared Thursday Honolulu Blue Day. So, encourage everyone in Michigan to support our blue, to support our Lions.
So today and tomorrow, so we're recording on Wednesday. So Wednesday and Thursday, take me through, like, do you get to see the site? Are you down there first? I mean, obviously you are a VIP being the governor, but what types of things do you get to do?
I'm going to get to tour a lot of the cool things that are going to be available to the general public. I'm going to get an opportunity to, chat and check in with the Lions team. I'm not dispensing any suggestions. I do not have any wisdom that will help them. And besides that, I trust their judgment. They've shown this is a team that knows what the heck they're doing. So it's exciting. But I just want to get down there and see all the cool things that are happening and to bring positive attention to the great things that are going on in Detroit.
You've been down to games. Obviously, last year you were down to training camp as well. What's your relationship like with Sheila Hamp, and how proud are you of her? She's taking the reins of this thing and it's working.
She is, she's an incredible leader. And I think the outcome speaks for the quality of leadership, low ego, focus on problem solving, don't get distracted by noise. And she's just shown, as has Dan Campbell, has everyone on this team from the top to the newest member of the team, that they got grit and low ego. And I think that combination of things is emblematic, I think, of what Michigan is, but also I think that's how you get good stuff done. And their performance last year was incredible. And Sheila is a great leader.
Do you have a grit hat, by the way? Do they give you one of those?
Oh yeah, I've got 2 of them actually. They're coveted. I mean, they're hard to come by, but
I know.
Native American Michigander actually decorated one of them for me too. So it's one pride.
Do you have a background with the Lions before, obviously, you were in office, and certainly I know you grew up in Grand Rapids and went to MSU, but how much of a background did you have with the team before kind of you took over the state?
Oh man, I've been going to Lions games my whole life. My grandparents lived in Pontiac. You could actually see the Silverdome from their
Nice.
house. And so every single Thanksgiving, my dad and my grandfather would take us kids to the Lions. Grandma would stay back and cook a fabulous Thanksgiving dinner. And so, it was a lot of hard years, but it's what makes this so much more fun and remarkable and exciting, I think, and galvanizing, in this moment in the world we're all navigating. It's hard to find common ground on something, on anything, really, it feels like some days. And yet to see how Michiganders were so united around our Detroit Lions this past season and going into this next one is like, it's fun, it's exciting, and it's heartening.
Where were you watching the NFC Championship game, by the way?
I was at the first game that we in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I attended it in Detroit, and then the second one I was actually doing a civil rights tour in the South with a lot of leaders from Detroit. It was really hard not to be at the game out on the West Coast, but it was we were all together and very obnoxious at the bar we were watching.
Governor Gretchen Whitmer, right here from our great state of Michigan, with us here on Locked On Lions today. You mentioned it before, but like the last couple of years with this team is getting this good. What does this do for the state in so many levels, right?
I mean, it's a big deal. And I think that the way the Lions went about it really brought a lot of new fans to, the Detroit Lions from around the country. It was so interesting to hear from even my colleagues who were rooting for the Lions. If you weren't, the governor of Kansas or the governor of California or the governor of New York, that you were pretty much rooting for the Lions. We are America's team now. And I think that is emblematic of who we are, Yeah, we get knocked down and we get back up. We keep doing the work. We show up and we stay focused on what matters.
You give a lot of speeches. You're in front of a lot of people. How often do you steal the Dan Campbell biting kneecaps line? Do you use that?
I think that's a part of all of our ethos, even if we don't talk about it all the time.
I could totally see that though from you, because you're just kind of one of us. You're one of the guys, one of the girls, which is kind of cool. All right, so the draft in Detroit. Obviously, we talk about the Lions' impact, but take me through what this is going to mean to the city and how many meetings you've been in to make sure, hey, let's not screw this up.
Yeah, I mean, it really is a chance to bring people in from around the globe to see what is happening. And, you can read the stories of Detroit, but to see what's happening is a totally different experience. When we host events, whether it's the Elite Eight games, right? Or it is any event that pulls people in. The presidential debate of 2018 that we hosted at the Fox Theater, 2-night event, media came in from around the world. And over again, when I would have the opportunity to do interviews, before the interview and after, people would be like, oh my God, this is beautiful. The Fox Theater, all these restaurants, the people of Michigan are really nice. It's a unique place that we call home. It's a fantastic place. And so every one of these is an opportunity for us to put our best foot forward, to show from the small businesses, locally owned small businesses, to world-renowned, titans of industry that call Detroit home. It is, every one of us is an ambassador for the city and for the state. And so it's an opportunity for the world to see really what we're all about. And there's a lot of reason to be proud.
You just mentioned colleagues and restaurants. When colleagues say, hey, Gretch, I'm coming in for the draft. Where do I go? Where are you sending them? Do you have some spots that are your favorites downtown?
I got to tell you, there used to be a handful of places. Now I can't count on, 2 hands and 2 feet, all the great places in Detroit. So, and a lot are opening up. I was at a Caribbean restaurant not long ago. It was fantastic. I love, the downtown spots. So there's just a lot. There's going to be a bunch of food trucks downtown Detroit. You can always get a good, affordable meal that way too. So I think there's a little something for everybody.
The Aiden Hutchinson story is one that I'm sure you lean on sometimes. Here's a kid from here, obviously divine child, Michigan, now with the Lions. Talk about a little bit about your messaging around maybe utilizing him to say, look, here's an athlete that wants to be here, has been here his whole career, loves playing for the Lions, and we can attract athletes to Detroit and to this state, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Michiganders know and appreciate what makes this state special. But some of those stories, especially you see kind of what Jared Goff has said about his move to Michigan and the experience. It's, I think that to show that there's cutting edge technology, that there are incredible strides that are being made in clean energy and in manufacturing. To show that, financial tech is something that is growing, and is aerospace, there's a lot of cool stuff happening. But when you see an athlete who says, there's no place I'd rather be, I think that speaks to a whole different crowd that is trying to figure out where do they want to go. So all of those voices, I think, tell our story, and it's a great one.
All right. So we know the great G-Mac Cash, the rapper, coined the nickname Big Gretch, and we did all that years ago. Then he comes back recently with a rap about the Detroit sign. Have you seen that?
I have.
Any comment? Do you have to call him up and go, hey man, lay off, don't get too crazy, don't get too negative?
Well, I mean, when the Belle Isle slide, he made one about the Belle Isle slide.
Oh, that was so good.
It's he's an artist.
It's so good. Oh my gosh. Well, have a great, thanks for coming on. First of all, have a great time these next couple of days. I know it's going to be awesome. And I know you're excited. Are you going to get to be up on stage? Do you get to meet Roger Goodell? Is there somebody you want to meet while you're downtown the next couple of days?
I think just hanging out, getting an opportunity to just take it all in is what I'm most looking forward to. I did meet Roger Goodell when we announced the draft was coming to Detroit, downtown last year, but this is, or 2 years ago. Gosh, my sense of time is so, it's after the pandemic. It's hard to remember. It was 1 year ago too, but anyway, so I'm just excited to get down there and take it all in and, pop into some small businesses. I'm in the market for a little more Lions swag, so I hope to do a little bit of shopping too.
All right, we got you. Well, thanks for reaching out. Shout out to Jaden on your team. She's amazing. And we appreciate you coming on.
Thanks, Pat. Have a great day. Enjoy the big days down here.
There she is, folks. The governor of Detroit, the governor of Michigan, Gretchen Whitmer, big Gretch, Gretchen Whitmer on Locked On Lions. Pretty cool. Thank you to Jaden Kuzinski from the governor's office for reaching out. And thanks to our Locked On team, Ross Jackson and everybody for helping get that set up. It was a lot of fun, and we hope you enjoyed hearing from the governor, as well as Jim Nagy here on a Wednesday edition of Locked On Lions. Thanks for making us your first listen. Shout out to Stacy Grislack from my office of financial architects. It's her birthday today. Happy birthday, Stacy. Her and her husband, Joe, they're everydayers. Here we go, folks. Draft tomorrow. We will be on tomorrow night with a show after the first round is done. Well, the Lions drafted 29. What are they going to do? We'll be back with you again tomorrow right here on Locked On Lions.